So you're wondering whether you should be buying a new build or a resale home in today's market. Today's video is going to be all about the pros and cons about both buying a new build and buying a resale home, and why I've been a huge fan of buying new builds this year. What's up, everybody? My name is Alex Miller. I'm a local realtor in the Denver metro area. And the reason that I've been such a big fan of new builds in this market is because of the incentives that they've been offering on the interest rates. Now, of course, that's going to come with some cons, but the interest rates that some of these new builds are offering in the 4.75, 4.99, and up to maybe the 6% range, we all know in this market, as a buyer, the biggest challenge that we're seeing is the interest rates. So to be able to walk in and get a 30-year fixed mortgage at a 4.75 rate is amazing in this type of a market. And this is literally saving my clients thousands of dollars on their mortgages. So that's obviously going to be number one. The biggest, best reason that new builds are a good direction over resale is only because they're offering such great incentives on the interest rates, saving you thousands of dollars a month. Some of the other big pros about living in a new build community is you're buying a brand new house. So that means that you're coming with a brand new AC, brand new furnace, brand new roof. Everything is brand new. And not only is it brand new, but you have a builder warranty. So most of these builders are offering what's called like their bumper to bumper 1-year warranty from, anything that goes wrong with the house. I know a lot of the builders will come back in and patch up, paint, take care of any of the issues that happen in the house within the first year. Now, a lot of the builders are also offering a 2-year warranty for any electrical, plumbing, anything that's behind the walls. And then most builders are offering anywhere from like an 8 to 10-year warranty on the structural and foundation of the house. So that's another great pro that you get when you're buying a new build, is you're getting everything brand new. You're not going to have problems with, say, the windows or electrical or anything like that. The other awesome thing that I think is great about new build communities is everybody is moving into the community at the same time. So this allows you to really connect with your neighbors. Now, say you move into a resale neighborhood. Yeah, of course, neighbors are going to be friendly, and you're going to get to meet your new neighbors that have been there for 20, 30 years, whatever. But in a new build community, it's really cool because everybody's brand new to that community. So I do think that it starts to give you a lot more of that feel of community and connectedness. Everybody, I think, just wants to get to know each other a little bit more. Obviously, there could be the times in resale neighborhoods where, you connect with your neighbors really well. Some of the other pros is that you're moving into a blank canvas. This is a home that has never been lived in. You are the first owner of this property. So it is cool that you get to put your own spin on things, that it's never been owned. You're not inheriting any other person's problems. This is a brand new home that you get to create and make it yours. So I'm sure there's plenty of other pros, but I think, like I said, the biggest pro for the new builds that I can see is the low interest rates that some of these builders are offering. They are a motivated seller. They have a lot of inventory that they got to get moved, they got to get sold. And I just continue to see, not only do they have really great deals on interest rates, but I've seen builders cut prices $70,000, $80,000, $100,000. So these builders are motivated to get people in. So I think it's just a great place to be able to get a great deal if that's something that you're looking for. Some of the cons about new builds, though, is they do tend to be on the outskirts of town. So you're not going to see these new builds obviously coming up in areas that are already built out. Say, for example, like Westminster or Broomfield. You are starting to see some in Arvada, but for the most part, obviously these new builds are going to be in an area that's a little bit further out from town. But with that being said, it's really not that far if you're looking for something that's close to Denver or Boulder. There's a lot of new build opportunities in places like Erie, Union, Commerce City, Greenwood Village, Aurora. And I think where we're going to continue to see a lot of the new builds start to come up is Frederick, Firestone, Dacono, and pushing further north, pushing further east, and pushing further south. So down south, I know that Castle Rock, Parker, Aurora, all of these areas are just really starting to grow quite a bit. And some of these new communities are awesome. There is a new community in Erie called Westerly that I think is going to be a very interesting community. It's not for everybody, but they tend to be a little bit smaller homes, but they are really pushing for more of a community feel that everybody's spending a lot more time. There's going to be resale. It seems like it's going to be a really cool neighborhood once it's all said and done. One of the other cons about buying a new build is that you are going to be living in a construction zone. Now, if you're one of the first people to move into the community, you're probably going to be getting a pretty steep discount because because of the fact that you're going to be one of the newest people in the neighborhood and you're going to have to deal with all that construction. I would definitely think about that. And I know that a lot of the builders do try to build where the construction is going to be hopefully moving out, so you're not having to continuously drive through construction zones. But just keep in mind that you are going to be living in a construction zone. There are going to be houses that are being built. So be used to listening to loud music and construction workers, nail guns, all that kind of stuff. Keep in mind, this is only going to be for about 6 to 9 months while they finish up these homes. But you are going to, be living in a construction zone. There's going to be a lot of dirt, mud, all that kind of stuff. But once you're settled into your house, hopefully the houses that are around you are getting built too. So you're just having to drive past it and not have to deal with the new construction for a whole lot longer on your street. Like I said, builders do try to do it in an organized fashion where you're not having to deal with a bunch of construction. Some of the other cons is that you are going to need to be, with most builders, you're gonna have to pay for your fence. Some builders will do like a wing fence. If you're like backed up to the end of the community and you're like backing open space, sometimes you'll get lucky and you'll have your fence, but most of the time you're gonna need to pay for your fence, your landscaping, and your blinds. All the builders are different. Some are more custom, some are more plug and play where they have only like 3 packages and you don't even get to really choose. But these are the big expenses that I think a lot of people don't think about, and it can add up. I mean, if you're looking at blinds anywhere from probably 2 to 5 grand, looking at your backyard, you could be spending anywhere from 5 to 20 grand on your backyard, depending on how nice you want to make it. So these are the things that you should think through when you're buying a new build. These are definitely added costs, so make sure that you're aware of that just going into buying a new build. So those are the big things that I would say to make sure that you're budgeting for, is your backyard and your blinds would be kind of the big things. Also, as I mentioned before, this is a blank canvas. You get to make this house your own. But if you're somebody who doesn't want to just have all white walls in your house, also keep in mind that you're probably going to be needing to pay an extra, it depends on what all you're wanting to get painted, but you're probably going to be spending about an extra 2 to 5 grand on painting, depending on the size of the house and what all you're going to be wanting to get painted. And then last but not least is just the workmanship of these new build homes. I have people ask me questions all the time of like, hey, who's a good builder? What's a good builder? And there's going to be a whole spectrum of builders. So you can have on the far spectrum of like complete custom homes, and then some where you don't get to pick anything and it's just kind of built, ready to go. So D.R. Horton is typically like, they just build the house exactly like they want to build it, and then they just have people come buy it. Lennar, they're gonna have a few different packages. They have like 3 different packages that it comes with, and there's no changing it. Some of the other builders like Richmond American, KB Homes, Dream Finders, those are gonna be a little bit more customizable, where you're gonna be able to go to the design center and pick out whether you want, ceiling fans or additional lighting, that kind of thing. So all these builders have different things that they do offer. And obviously with that comes different levels of workmanship and, quality of the home. At the end of the day though, all of these builders have to pass inspections for them to even get the certificate of occupancy. So when people ask me, are new builds a good way to go? They have to pass some levels of inspections. They have to make sure that the home is in good order. With that being said though, some of these new builds, I would agree, are not the greatest of quality, and they are gonna be using cheaper products, sometimes like on the carpet and that kind of thing. So really you're gonna end up getting what you pay for. So one thing I do remind my clients though is, if say you move in and there's something that's not going very well, if there's something that's damaged, if there's something that's broken, if there's something that's not working, you do have that warranty for the 1 year and the 2 year and the 10 year if there's anything structural. So, obviously utilize that to your full potential. Now let's switch over to the other side. So that's everything with new builds. If you have any questions or need any help with new builds, feel free to shoot me a text, email, phone call. Would love to help you out. Let's jump into resale. So some of the pros in resale right now in this market that we're in, depending on the seller situation, I have seen a lot of sellers who are in a motivated situation. This is a little bit more of a tricky market to be in as a seller. And so we are seeing a lot of properties, if they're not priced correctly, sitting on the market for 30, 60, 90, sometimes 120 days. So depending on the seller and their motivation and where they're trying to go, some of these sellers could be in a really tough position where they just need to get this property sold. One of the big strategies that I'm working with my buyers and my lenders is getting something that's called a 2-1 buy down, which is a temporary buy down to make your interest payment cheaper for the first 2 years. What this is say for easy math, the first year right now, rates are at 7%. The first year, that's gonna buy down your rate to 5%. The next year, it's gonna buy it down to 6%. And then that third year, through the remaining life of the loan, is gonna be at that 7%. Now, my lender is doing a free refinance within 18 months of you purchasing the property. So this is all within the hoping that the rates drop into the 4, 5s, or 6 in the next 18 months. So what's nice about that is you are able to buy at today's prices and get a good deal and still be able to get that interest rate when and if rates come down. Now, just a side note on that, for every 1% that the rates do come down, there's expected to be 5 million buyers nationwide that enter the market. So even though it is challenging buying a house in this market right now, it is wise to purchase now before this huge wave of demand starts to jump back into the market when the rates go down. Some of the other pros about buying a resale home is obviously the neighborhood is already gonna be done, everything's put into place, you're gonna have your landscaping, you're gonna have your backyard, etc. You're gonna have more mature trees, all that kind of stuff. So it is nice if you're somebody who wants to have like mature trees and stuff, like these new builds, you're gonna have not as nice of landscaping for at least a couple of years. Now, I think the cons on this is that with resale homes, you are going to have, you're buying somebody else's property, somebody that has already lived in there, whether they've lived in there for 5 years or 20 years, you're going to be buying a house that somebody has already lived in. So there's going to be things like, windows, roof, exterior paint, all these kind of things. Now, if the seller has already taken care of these issues, that's great. But when you're buying a resale home, there are going to be issues. There are going to be things that have not been taken care of just because it's somebody that's previously owned the house. The other thing too is that you might not like the way maybe that they finished the basement or that they've painted walls. That's fine. You can always go back in and paint walls, do cosmetic work. But there are certain things that are going to be, if it's a resale home that you might not like and you might not want to tear everything down to remodel the full house. I think one of the biggest cons that I'm seeing with buying a resale home is just dealing with the current interest rates that we're dealing with today. Like I said, if you want to go in and use a temporary buy down, that kind of thing, the only unfortunate part about those is that it's not a permanent solution. So with these new builds, what's nice is that there is a permanent solution. You're going in, you're buying a property at 4.75 fixed rate for that 30-year mortgage, so it is great. I know I'm probably missing some things in this video, so let me know in the comments below. What do you think? What are the things that I'm missing on the pros and cons for either new builds or resale? And what questions do you have? And until then, we'll see you on the next video.